Hey guys, Rods Over Bricks here. So a few months ago I picked up this weed eater from a second hand. It had the front of it all smashed up. It was new in the box, so I bought it. Put some gas in it. This is its first fire up. Well, now that we know it's running, and it runs quite well, it might need a little bit of carburetor tuning or some fresher fuel. But I have a special project in mind. Now, everyone knows Hill Climb Racer and Hill Climb Racer 2. The Dune Buggy, like right here, this is my personal gameplay. Everyone knows and everyone loves the Dune Buggy from it, so I figured how cool it would be to make a full-size one. And luckily, someone made a 3D file, so that made it real easy for me to kind of take a look at all the angles. Well, my first stop was to Harbor Freight. Because first I wanted to get the wheels and tires, just so I could kind of get a scale reference of how big I'm going to build it. Now, I'm not building this exactly scale, but this will hopefully get me in the right direction. So they had a whole bunch to choose from. A few were on sale, and I think I'm going to use those as my back tires and these skinnier ones for the front. Right here, I'm just kind of scaling it up, seeing if it looks right, and it did, so went ahead and purchased those. My next stop was Home Depot. Now, you really shouldn't be welding a whole bunch on electrical conduit, but it was cheap, and it works. So I started cutting things and started putting things together, and this is the result of all that. So right here, I'm just, again, scaling everything up, seeing if I like how long it is, how wide it is, generically where I want the motor. I'm just kind of deciding on a wheelbase right now, and that'll decide how long the frame's going to be. And once I had some measurements, I just started cutting apart the tubing and started making my progress. Now, just because you see me do it, definitely does not mean that you should. Welding without a mask is pretty terrible. I've had flash burn several times, and I'm still the idiot that never learns. So I'm just doing the good old safety squints. The bright light from welding can go through the eyelids. So if you're just tacking a few things, I don't think it's a big deal. But you really shouldn't do any kind of long-term welding with without a mask. So right here, I'm just making sure everything's nice and square. This is where I think a lot of people get hung up on projects. They just get way too picky. For something like this, it's an RC car, it's not a Ferrari. So if we're within, a quarter inch of square, I think that's good enough. So I'm not taking too much time. Mostly I'm just building it by my eye. And if measurements are quite off, then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try to bend and straighten everything out. Now that the front's kind of done, has that right angle, I can do the little top bar here, and that kind of finishes off the front of the frame. And I always like to look at the project, try to mock up the tires and get the height and everything going, just so I could see if it looks right to me, and so far it did. So I went ahead and just started continuing. Now the rear, I do have to squeeze in these two bars, because as you can see here on the 3D model, they kind of come closer together right at the very tail end. But that'll be a problem for a little bit later. I'm just going to build most of the frame, and then I'll bring those in. So I totally forgot to film while doing the windshield and roof area, but here it is. Look at that. That is going to be cool as hell. It's not exactly to scale with the Hill Climb Racer buggy, but I think you're definitely getting the vibe from it. I mean, this thing's going to look wicked with the weed eater motor in the middle and a little bit of aluminum cladding towards the front and the pads and stuff on the sides. And it's going to be huge. It's about 43 inches long. Well, guys, that's about all the time I had for today. I've got some of the frame done, and it's actually starting to really take the shape like it's supposed to. Now, I did make the roof kind of more rounded. Not sure why. You know, I'm not trying to follow the Hill Climb Racer buggy like to a T, but it will be painted, and I'm trying to make it look at least that you could recognize it, you know? But I think that's just going to look sweet. And the weed eater motor, I'm not sure if I'm going to have the motor on the back axle moving as its own unit. I really don't want that much unsprung weight. So I might try to put the motor somewhere in the middle and run like a chain and chain tensioner. That way the axle can move up and down. It won't have any articulation in the back. It's essentially going to be like a go-kart rear end that's just on a little swing arm. You know, I'm only expecting to get maybe 3 or 4 inches of travel, front and back. By the way, this is, oh, here we go. That was 20 feet of half-inch EMT, which is just nutty. I really thought 20 feet would be enough. I definitely need at least another 6 feet, 7 feet, so. It doesn't weigh much right now. I'm going to say maybe 8 pounds. The tires are what's going to weigh it down a lot, and the engine too. But yeah, look at that. That is going to be so freaking cool looking. Overall length is going to be like 3.5 feet. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.